The golden letters of his name gleamed against the evening sky as Donald Trump gazed out from the penthouse window. 78 years of achievement stretched behind him like a golden road. His hotel stood tall in cities across the world. His name adorned buildings in 47 countries. His face was recognized in every corner of the globe. And now, once again, he commanded the attention of an entire nation. Yet as the sun set over the Manhattan skyline, casting long shadows across his empire, something felt hollow in the center of his chest. Not pain exactly, more like an emptiness that no amount of wealth or applause seemed to fill. The rallies were bigger than ever. The crowds more enthusiastic. The polls showing numbers that would make any politician envious. But in moments like these, alone with his thoughts, Donald Trump found himself wondering what it all meant. What would remain when the cameras stopped flashing and the chants faded away? He straightened his red tie, checked his reflection in the mirror, and pushed these thoughts aside. There was work to do. Another rally, another speech, another chance to feel that surge of energy that came from thousands of voices chanting his name. The private jet landed in Grand Rapids, Michigan at 6:15 that evening. The weather was unseasonably warm for October, and the crowd had been gathering since early morning. Secret Service agents flanked him as he made his way to the stage, their eyes constantly scanning for threats. He could feel the familiar rush as the crowd roared at his appearance. 20,000 voices merging into one thunderous sound of approval. This was what he lived for. This was what mattered. He gripped the podium with both hands and began speaking. The words came easily after so many rallies. America first, bringing back jobs, making deals. The crowd responded to each point with enthusiasm. An hour into his speech, Trump felt a strange sensation in his chest. At first, he ignored it, continuing his remarks about border security. But the feeling intensified, a pressure that squeezed his ribs like a vice. Sweat beaded on his forehead despite the cool evening air. His words began to slow. The teleprompter swam before his eyes. The crowd's cheers seemed to come from very far away. And we will make. His voice faltered. The pressure in his chest became unbearable. The microphone picked up his labored breathing. 20,000 people watched in stunned silence as Donald J. Trump, the 78th President of the United States, gripped his chest and collapsed on stage. Secret Service agents rushed forward. Panic erupted in the crowd. Emergency medical personnel pushed through the chaos. But Donald Trump was aware of none of this. In the space between one heartbeat and the next, between the moment his body hit the stage floor and the defibrillator sent its first shock through his chest, Donald Trump found himself somewhere else entirely. He was floating in a vast expanse of golden light. Not the garish gold of his towers and hotels, but something purer, more radiant. The light seemed alive somehow, pulsing with a gentle rhythm like a universal heartbeat. There was no up or down, no sense of time or physical space. Just perfect stillness, perfect peace. For a man who had spent his life in constant motion, always reaching for the next achievement, the next deal, the next victory, this profound stillness was both foreign and strangely familiar. As if his soul recognized this place, even if his mind did not. Where am I? His voice made no sound, yet the question rippled through the golden light like a stone dropped in still water. You are in the space between, came a reply that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Donald turned, or thought he turned, for there was no body to move, only consciousness. Before him stood a being of light, not human, exactly, though it had taken on a form his mind could comprehend. Ancient eyes gazed at him with wisdom beyond understanding. When it spoke, its voice resonated like distant thunder, yet was as intimate as a whisper. Donald John Trump, you have lived a life of great abundance, yet you stand before me empty. Empty. The word echoed through the golden vastness, and Donald felt a curious absence of the defensiveness that would normally rise within him at such an assessment. Here, in this place, pretense seemed pointless. I have built an empire. I've become president twice. My name is on buildings across the world. How can you say I'm empty? The being's light pulsed gently, like a smile made of pure energy. The vessels that hold the most are often the ones that feel most hollow when unfilled with what truly matters. The being gestured, and suddenly they were no longer suspended in golden light, but standing in what appeared to be a vast library with endless shelves stretching beyond sight. Books of every size and color filled the shelves, some glowing faintly, others dim. Each life writes its own story. The being explained, moving toward a particular shelf. Not the story others see, but the true narrative of a soul's journey. The being's hand, if it could be called that, reached for a large leather-bound volume with gold embossing that read simply, Donald J. Trump. The book opened of its own accord, pages turning rapidly as though blown by an unseen wind. Donald watched as images from his life flashed across the pages. His childhood in Queens. His father Fred's stern face as he taught his son about real estate and power. His first big deal in Manhattan. His marriages. His children. His television fame. His surprising political rise. The victories and defeats. The crowds chanting his name. Your story is filled with remarkable achievements. The being acknowledged. Few have climbed so high or reached so far. But look closer. The pages turned again, revealing different scenes. Moments of solitude in his penthouse, staring out at the city below with an expression of restlessness. Arguments with loved ones, harsh words he couldn't take back. Times when, despite being surrounded by admirers, his eyes revealed a profound loneliness. The constant need for more wealth, more attention, more power that never seemed satisfied. I built what my father expected of me. What's wrong with success? What's wrong with winning? Donald's words carried no heat in this place, just genuine questioning. The being's ancient eyes held his gaze. Nothing is wrong with achievement, but when the vessel is filled only with gold, it remains strangely empty. True power lies not in what you accumulate, but in what you give freely without expectation of return. The being touched the book again, and the pages revealed new images. Children in hospital beds, veterans struggling with wounds both visible and hidden, communities devastated by natural disasters. These are the places where true legacy is built, not in towers of steel and glass, but in lives touched by genuine compassion. Donald felt something stir within him, uncomfortable yet compelling. I've given to charities. I've signed bills to help veterans. The being nodded. Yes, but often with cameras present, often with your name attached. The purest service seeks no recognition. Donald turned away, unable to maintain the being's penetrating gaze. For the first time in decades, perhaps for the first time since childhood, he felt the weight of complete honesty pressing upon him. My father never thought anything was good enough. No matter what I built, what deal I made, there was always the sense I could have done better. Should have done better. His voice grew quieter. I've spent my life trying to prove him wrong. Trying to be so big, so successful that even Fred Trump would have to admit I'd succeeded. But he's been gone 25 years, and I'm still trying to win his approval. Donald felt something wet on his cheeks. Tears. When was the last time he had cried? Not for the cameras, not for effect, but from a place of genuine vulnerability. I'm afraid, he admitted, the words feeling foreign on his lips. Afraid that without the money, without the fame, without the power, I'm nothing. That I don't matter. That I'll be forgotten. The being's light dimmed slightly, a gesture of compassion. This fear drives many humans to build monuments to themselves, hoping stone will outlast memory. But the most enduring legacy cannot be seen or touched. It lives in the hearts and lives you've changed for the better. The being gestured again, and the library faded. They stood now on what appeared to be a mountaintop. Below them spread a vast landscape. Cities and towns, forests and oceans, all connected by threads of light that pulse between people like a living network. Every act of genuine kindness, every moment of true service, creates connections that outlast any building. This is the power that transforms not just the recipient, but the giver as well. Donald watched the threads of light with wonder. Some were bright and strong, others faint but growing. He could see how they formed patterns across generations, weaving a tapestry more complex and beautiful than anything he had ever built. It's not too late to build this kind of legacy, the being said softly. The story of your life is still being written. The final chapters may be the most meaningful of all. Donald felt something shift inside him, not dramatically but subtly, like a door long closed beginning to open just a crack, allowing in a beam of light. Before he could respond, a distant sound reached them. Urgent voices, mechanical beeping, someone calling his name with increasing desperation. "Your body is calling you back," the being explained. "Your time here is ending." Panic flared in Donald's consciousness. "But I'm not ready. I have questions. I need more time." The being's light pulsed reassuringly. "The wisdom you have glimpsed here already exists within you. You need only the courage to listen to it." Donald felt himself being pulled away, the mountain scene growing distant. "Remember," the being's voice followed him as he receded, "true power lies in service. True wealth is measured in lives touched. True legacy is written not in gold letters, but in the invisible threads that connect all beings." The golden light faded. Darkness enveloped him. And then pain. Sharp, insistent pain in his chest. The harsh glare of hospital lights. Voices shouting medical terms he didn't understand. "He's back. We got a pulse." The face of his personal physician appeared above him, features tight with concern. "Mr. President, can you hear me? You've had a cardiac event. You're in the hospital. Try not to move." Donald tried to speak, but found a tube in his throat. His chest felt as though an elephant had been sitting on it. Machines beeped steadily around him. Through the blur of faces, he recognized his family. Eyes red from crying, expressions shifting from desperation to relief. He wanted to tell them about the golden light, about the being, about the library and a mountain and the threads connecting all humanity. But all he could do was squeeze his daughter's hand weakly as the medical team continued working around him. Days passed in a haze of medications, tests, and fitful sleep. The news reported extensively on his collapse, speculating about his health and political future. Doctors diagnosed a rare form of cardiac arrhythmia, treatable but serious. He would need to reduce stress, they said, make lifestyle changes, considerations for his age and condition. Through it all, Donald remained uncharacteristically quiet. His usual demands and complaints were absent. He watched the hospital staff with new eyes. The nurse who stayed late to check on him, the janitor who quietly cleaned his room while he pretended to sleep, the young resident who explained his condition with nervous respect. He saw their faces differently now, noticing the fatigue, the dedication, the humanity that had always been there, but that he had rarely taken time to acknowledge. 1 week after his collapse, against medical advice, but with his doctor's reluctant cooperation, Donald held a brief press conference from his hospital room. Reporters noted his subdued demeanor, the absence of his usual bombast. "I want to thank the medical team here for their excellent care," he began, his voice raspier than usual. "And I want to thank the American people for their prayers and support during this difficult time." He paused, seeming to search for words, an unusual hesitation for a man known for his stream of consciousness speaking style. Sometimes life gives us moments that make us reevaluate our priorities. This has been such a moment for me. He looked down at his hands. "I've spent my life building things with my name on them. Perhaps it's time I built something that doesn't need my name at all." The statement puzzled political analysts, who debated its meaning on news programs for days afterward. But those closest to Trump noticed other changes in the weeks that followed. The first came when he instructed his financial team to make a substantial donation to a children's hospital in Michigan, with the specific condition that it remain anonymous. His staff was confused by this directive, so unlike his previous charitable endeavors, which had always prominently featured the Trump name. "No press release, no announcements, just make it happen," he insisted when they questioned him. Then came a series of meetings with veterans organizations, held without cameras or publicity. The president, still recovering but growing stronger, listened more than he spoke, another departure from his typical approach. He asked questions about mental health services, about homelessness among veterans, about the challenges of transitioning to civilian life. He took notes himself rather than delegating to staff. 3 months after his collapse, Donald Trump made another unusual decision. He invited a small group of former political opponents to a private dinner at the White House. No press was allowed. No statements were issued afterward. But attendees later reported, with evident surprise, that the president had spent the evening asking questions and listening to their perspectives with apparent sincerity. It was like talking to a completely different person, one Democratic senator remarked privately. He actually wanted to know what I thought. Not everyone believed the change was genuine or would last. Critics suggested it was a political strategy, a way to soften his image. Former staffers predicted he would soon return to his combative, self-promoting style. Perhaps they were right. Human nature doesn't transform overnight, even after the most profound experiences. Old habits reassert themselves. The ego rebels against its own diminishment. But those who worked closely with Donald Trump in the years following his collapse noted moments, quiet, private moments, when something different shone through. A genuine word of appreciation to a staff member. A decision made for its impact rather than its publicity value. A rare admission of uncertainty or mistake. As we reflect on this extraordinary account of Donald Trump's most personal encounter with God, we're reminded that spiritual awakenings come in many forms. For a man who built his identity on worldly success and public acclaim, the greatest revelation was that true legacy isn't measured in wealth or buildings, but in lives touched through genuine compassion and service. Whether you believe this story literally or see it as a powerful metaphor, its message transcends political divisions and speaks to a universal human truth, that even the most successful among us search for deeper meaning and purpose. Sometimes the most unexpected moments, even a health crisis, can become the doorway to profound transformation. If this story touched your heart today, take a moment to share it with someone who might need this message of hope and renewal. Remember that it's never too late to begin building a different kind of legacy. Like this video, subscribe to our channel for more stories that inspire, challenge, and remind us of life's deeper purpose. And in your own life, consider how you might create those invisible threads of connection that truly outlast any monument built of stone or steel.